11 ominous predictions for 2023. Michael Schneider reports there is a growing consensus that 2023 is going to be a miserable year for the US economy and for the global economy as a whole. In fact, in all years that I have been writing, I've never seen so many big names on Wall Street be so incredibly pessimistic about the coming year. Of course, much of that pessimism is due to the fact that 2022 went so poorly. The cryptocurrency industry imploded, trillions of dollars in stock market wealth evaporated, inflation became a major problem all over the industrialized world, and a new housing crash suddenly erupted. Considering all of the pain that we have experienced over the past 12 months, it is only natural for the experts to have a negative view of 2023. In the following are 11 ominous warnings that they have issued for the year ahead. Number 1, the IMF said we expect 1/3 of the world economy to be in a recession. Even countries that are not in recession, it would feel like recession for hundreds of millions of people. 2, Bloomberg says economists say there is a 7 in 10 likelihood that the US economy will sink into recession next year, slashing demand forecasts and trimming inflation projections in the wake of massive interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. 3, the World Bank says, as central banks across the world simultaneously hike interest rates in response to inflation, the world may be edging towards a global recession in 2023 and a string of financial crises in emerging markets and developing economies that would do them lasting harm, according to a comprehensive new study by the World Bank. 4, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan says we're going to have a shallow recession. 5, Mohammed El-Erian, many high conviction U.S. recession calls are immediately coupled with the assertion that it'll be short, shallow. Reminds me of the behavioral trap transitory inflation proponents fell into last year, he said. 6, Nouriel Roubini says, no, this is not going to be a short and shallow recession. It's going to be deep and protracted. 7, Larry Summers says, my sense is that it's much harder than many people think to achieve a soft landing. 8, Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon says economic growth is slowing. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon said in the same conference, when I talk to our clients, they sound extremely cautious. 9, Charles Schwab and company Liz Ann Saunders said we have to take our medicine still, meaning a weaker economy and a weaker labor market. The question is it better to take our medicine sooner or later? 10, BlackRock says central bankers won't ride to the rescue when growth slows in this new regime. Contrary to what investors have come to expect, they are deliberately causing recessions by over-tightening policy to try to rein in inflation. 11, Michael Burry says inflation peaked, but it's not the last peak of this cycle. We are likely to see CPI lower, possibly negative, in 2H 2023, and the US in recession by any definition. Fed will cut and government will stimulate, and we will have another inflation spike. It's not hard, he said. So as you can see, there is a general consensus that things will be bad in 2023, but there is disagreement about just how deep the coming economic downturn will turn out to be. If the worst of these forecasts turn out to be accurate, that will actually be incredibly good news, because the reality of what we will be facing in 2023 is likely to be significantly worse than any of these experts are currently projecting. With each passing day, we continue to get even more numbers that indicate that big trouble is ahead. For example, we just learned that luxury home sales absolutely cratered during the months of September, October, and November. Sales of luxury homes fell by 38.1% year over year during the 3 months ending November 30th, 2022, the biggest decline on record according to a new report from Redfin, a technology-powered real estate broker, that outpaced the record 31.4% decline in sales of non-luxury homes. Redfin's data goes back to 2012. The luxury market and the overall housing market lost momentum in 2022 due to many of the same factors: inflation, relatively high interest rates, a sagging stock market, and recession fears. We haven't seen anything like this since 2008, and we all remember what the housing crash of 2008 ultimately did to the financial markets. Normally, the beginning of the calendar year is a time for optimism. As we look forward to a completely clean slate, it can be easy to forget the difficulties of the previous 12 months, but this year things seem completely different. On some level, just about everyone can feel that very challenging times are ahead of us. Decades of very foolish decisions are starting to catch up with us in a major way. Our leaders tried very hard to keep the party going for as long as possible, and to a certain extent, they were quite successful in doing so. Our politicians in Washington kept borrowing and spending trillions upon trillions of dollars that we did not have, and that definitely delayed our day of reckoning. And the Federal Reserve kept the financial markets artificially propped up for years by endlessly pumping giant amounts of fresh cash into the system. But such foolish measures only made our long-term problems even worse, and now our leaders are losing control. All of the mega bubbles are starting to burst, and the system is beginning to fall apart all around us. It's time to turn out the lights because the party's over. We all had a lot of fun while it lasted, but now the bill is due and an extraordinary amount of pain is ahead. It's finally here. Michael's new book entitled End Times is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. About the author, my name is Michael Schneider. He says my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I ask also that they include this about this author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is by Michael Schneider on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box